in Tibet between Chinese security forces and protesters urging independence for the region. It's brought into the spotlight one of the most recognizable religious figures in the world, the Dalai Lama, forced from Tibet when the Chinese invaded. He's not only the head of Tibetan Buddhism, he's the head of the government in exile, a position he threatened to resign from again today. Mike Armstrong tells us more about the difficult choices facing His Holiness, the Dalai Lama.
With each day, the number of protests over Tibet grows. This was a group in India calling for a boycott of Chinese products. Well, with each day, the death toll in Tibet grows as well. According to Tibetan rights group, a monk was killed today and another critically injured, while China's official news agency says a police officer was killed. This is the man China is blaming for the unrest, the Dalai Lama. A foreign ministry spokesman today saying the unrest was organized, premeditated, and incited by what he called the Dalai clique. We hope the international community can clearly recognize the true face of the Dalai, he says, and make a clear distinction between right and wrong. Now, the Dalai Lama renewed his calls for non-violent protests today, saying Tibetans have the right to express their deep feelings, but that it must absolutely not involve violence. If it does, he says, the movement could lose its leader.
If things become out of control, violent thing become out of control, then my option, I resign.
Now, could the Dalai Lama walk away? Well, it's not that easy, says this Tibetan studies professor.
He can resign as being the head of state of the government in exile, but he cannot resign his status as a reincarnated Lama.
According to the Buddhist religion, he is the 14th reincarnation of the Dalai Lama. He was found when he was 3 years old, tested, and then trained for the position. In that sense, he was born to it and can't quit that part of the job. But to lose the Dalai Lama as a force in the government is not something Tibetans would want. It's a threat similar to one made by another inspirational leader who advocated nonviolence, Mahatma Gandhi.
When there was lots of widespread violence between Hindu and Muslim, for instance, at some point in time he decided, okay, I'm going away, I will fast. And I will not stop fasting till people settle down and stop the violence.
One thing the Dalai Lama has talked about in the past is not returning to the position, meaning not being reincarnated as the Dalai Lama. He would instead pick a successor while still alive and end a lineage that, according to Tibetan Buddhism, dates back to the 14th century. Mike Armstrong, Global News, Montreal.
Well, in an age when images of revolution can be captured